Immortal was not the only young player to make his mark in 1991. Viswanathan Anand from India gave Karpov a real run for his money in the candidates. After losing to Kasparov in Tilburg, he bounced back to humiliate the world champion in this following brilliant game. On move 10, he plays knight d to b5. Kasparov accepts the sacrifice, and Anand captures the pawn on b5 with his knight. Now look at the threats that Anand has. Knight to c7, forking the king and the rook, but also the most subtle threat of just trapping the queen on b2 with a move like a3, threatening bishop to d4. Quite an extraordinary position. If Kasparov grabs the pawn on a2, rook takes a2, then rook b1 wins the queen. So, Kasparov plays rook a5, harassing the knight on b5. Anand continues, rook b1. And if the queen now captures on a2, simply bishop d4 will lead to the win of the queen after rook a1. So Kasparov decides to cash in for the queen at this point. He captures the knight on b5 with his rook. Anand captures the world champion's queen, and the world champion takes the rook on b2. So it looks like the champion's got reasonable value for money. He's got a rook and two minor pieces for the queen. Normally that's very good. But now the whole point of the combination. Anand plays this lovely little move, queen a1, putting the queen in the corner. Now this rook is incredibly embarrassed. If it drops back to b4, the only sensible square, then the queen can come to c3. And the point is that the bishop on c8 will be lost. So the rook drops back to b6, not a decision that Kasparov must have liked. Anand captured the rook on b6. The world champion had to recapture with the knight, and Anand went on to win the position quite comfortably. The international tournament in Terrassa, Spain was the scene of some very flashy chess. This following position occurred in a game between Appice and Elvest. On move 27, White played knight h4. Black played knight captures the pawn on e4, also offering the exchange of queens. Now the beauty of this position is that it looks like the knight is coming to f5 with a simple check, but after this move the king would escape to f8. Note there's a much more beautiful continuation which Appice executes, rook h7. The king can't take this rook, as you can see, because of knight f5 giving checkmate. So the king has to run. It runs back to f8. Now the beautiful follow-up move. Knight takes g6. Probably Elvest was looking at the f5 square and didn't actually see that the knight was coming in on g6. Now the rook can't capture this knight, because then rook h8 check. The rook is forced to drop back to g8 to defend, but then rook takes g8. And we have a very simple mate. But also, if f takes g6, then queen h6 check. The king must go to e8, but then this knight on b5, which has been looking so irrelevant, plays knight takes c7, winning the queen at least. So unfortunately, black has to run again. This time he goes to e8. Now white switches tack somewhat and plays queen to f5, hitting the pawn on f7 and also the knight on e4. Elvest defends most important problem, which is a pawn on f7 with queen d7, offering the queens hoping to get to some kind of endgame position. White simply captures the knight on e4. Elvest must capture the knight on g6 with the rook to avoid being a piece down. But now the final coup, knight takes c7 check. Elvest has to capture this knight to avoid losing the rook in the corner. So queen takes c7. But now white finishes the game off quite nicely. Queen takes g6. Now, if the pawn recaptures, f takes g6, simply rook takes c7 wins the house. So in this position, black is completely lost. The Englishman who really has had his year is Nigel Short. Perhaps his best ever result was tying for first ahead of Karpov and Kasparov in Amsterdam. In Tilburg, Short, playing white against Timid, had reached the following position. He now begins the most incredible king manoeuvre. It starts fairly simply with king h2. Now, it seems that black should try a move like bishop c8 to harass the rook on d7. But Short has a somewhat powerful response. g4. After bishop takes d7, g takes h5, if black recaptures on h5, then queen g5 check, king h7, queen takes h5 check, the king returns to the g-file and rook g4 mate. But if black doesn't recapture on h5, Short is simply going to push h6 and complete the mate with queen g7. Timon avoids this by playing rook c8. But this runs into another very grave problem. The white king comes to g3. Timon, perhaps a little confused with what Short's doing, puts his rook back on e8. But now, the incredible king f4. Black now decides to hit the rook on d7, but this is all rather late in the day, because Short continues with this rather strange little king march, g5, and no prizes for guessing where the king goes next. It's obviously heading for h6. So, for instance, if black captured the rook on d7, white king comes to h6, and mate on g7 is inevitable. Black's only defence is, say, king to h7, but this won't bother Short, because the queen takes g6 check. The pawn cannot capture the queen in view of the fact that the rook on d7 pins. So the king would have to drop back to h8, but then a move like queen h6 check. King has to go to g8, and then the king comes in to f6, and again mate will be given on g7. A very, very strange finish, which I think must have surprised the Dutch Grandmaster.
Hi, this is Grandmaster Damian Lemos. First of all, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to receive more free chess videos from us, you can just click the subscribe button below. I would also highly recommend signing up for my free mail course, The 10 Grandmaster Secrets to Dominate Chess. During this exclusive course from onlinechesslessons.net, I'll share with you my own Grandmaster shortcuts to effective attacking, defending, and growth hacks to improving your chess without complicated books or memorization. So sign up by clicking the sidebar on the right, and I know you won't be disappointed. Once more, this is Damian for onlinechesslessons.net, and I'll see you in my videos. Thank you.